Welcome to the Rising Lioness Podcast on All About Animals Radio, a place dedicated to animals and all those who act to protect and advocate for them. Hi, I'm your host, Erica Salvemini, and I'm thrilled and honored to be here representing All About Animals Radio using my voice for the animals. Thank you for joining us for what intends to be a thought-provoking and soul-inspiring series where we discuss topics aimed at understanding the importance of the relationship between empathy, animal rights, and our peaceful coexistence with the animal kingdom. And now on to our show. Hi, today we welcome Michael Overly, founder of Dogs and Men, LLC. Michael is a canine partnered men's coach, executive coach, author, energy healer, and lifelong dog fanatic. Michael says he has had the gift of connecting with animals since childhood and that dogs have been with him most of his life, giving him gifts and teaching him lessons along the way. Welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us today to discuss your soul-inspiring work with men and their dogs. Can you explain a little bit about what Dogs and Men is?
I would love to. Thank you for having me. I've been really excited to come on and speak with you. Just as an energy healer, knowing other energy healers, people who are out there trying to make everything better for everyone. It's quite a mission.
For sure.
So the Dogs and Men came from an awakening that I had. And part of that awakening was realizing that my dog was actually treating me or helping to heal me by sharing energy in this incredible space. And I had no idea that anything like that was actually possible. And I want other people to experience that and realize that there's so many other ways to live, and we can have love and fulfillment and success and happiness. And you may not know it, but the key to your own happiness might be sitting right next to you on the floor.
Yeah, that's very well put, and I can totally resonate with that. And I absolutely love what you're doing. I find it fascinating. I find it very much needed in the world today. Whether you're a woman or a man, obviously you work with men and their dogs, but we all know men. We have men in our lives, men that we love, fathers, brothers, spouses, partners, friends, whatever it may be. So maybe you can tell our audience a little bit more about the breakthrough moment that set you on your path to your healing journey and your healing work.
Yeah, this is one of the best things I talk about. It was one of the hardest for me for a long time. It all came from the death of my brother, my older brother, and he was my hero. He was just the neatest guy. You know, he had all sorts of disabilities, multiple heart surgeries, paralyzed at 18, all these things, and he just kept going and was out there serving and being good to people. And when he died, it just tore me open. Right? It was like the last person that I knew was behind me no matter what, and that I could really connect with. And all of a sudden he was just gone. So from that loss, I allowed myself to actually grieve. And it was amazing what actually came up for me. And I realized that I didn't like who I was. I didn't like how I was showing up in the world. And I realized he was quietly trying to show me something different for a long time. And so that changed my outlook. And I've been on this amazing journey ever since.
That's incredible. I didn't realize, I knew that your brother was a part of it. I didn't realize that he was so challenged in his life, or maybe not. You know, we look at that sometimes when we see people with disabilities or what would be considered in social normals, quote, normal settings, disabilities, but those are oftentimes the people that have the most to show us. And these are the relationships in our lives that do that, you know, if we're wise enough and we're lucky enough to wake to that experience and see it for what it is. Because honestly, you and I, you know, we do this work so we know, or at least we're supposed to know, that, you know, our greatest opportunities, they come out of the greatest challenges in our lives. And that's where all the beautiful gifts come. And if only everybody could realize that. And I think more people today are waking up to that fact, and it's starting to become more of a, you know, like we're going into the flow of that more in the world today. And that shift is definitely happening. The more people I meet every day, that I see that. So thank you for sharing your extremely personal and touching story. It's just amazing. And as an energy practitioner and conscious pet care entrepreneur myself, I know firsthand what the healing power of animals can do for us. And I just, I wish for everyone to realize and see how much we can learn from them, from our friends. Like you said, we could just be sitting right next to our cat or our dog or whatever it may be, or our special needs son or brother or sister, cousin, whatever. And these are the people, these are the beings in our lives that have a lot to teach us. And if we just learn to exist from a heart-centered live our lives from a heart-centered existence, I think we could do a lot more for ourselves and the world, as a whole. All that said, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your clients and why do they typically seek you out? What is it that they're dealing with, or what are their, what type of issues, and do they, is it a broad, varied, list of things? What are they most dealing with when they come to see you?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's typically not what they originally seek me out for that we end up discovering. We're so used to displacing all our issues and problems or whatever it is on someone else, or defining in a certain way that we think makes sense to us. I've had guys come to me because they thought I was a dog trainer.
That's funny.
And there was a guy local to where I'm at. He's a gelato manufacturer, right? And he was having issues with his dog and he wanted to meet. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go meet. And turns out, his job is killing him. His marriage is in the crapper. All these things were adding up to him being just totally depressed and angry and not understanding why. And we were able to shortly work through something for him. And within an hour, he's crying. And the behaviors his dog had been exhibiting, he realized were now to show him that he wasn't taking care of himself.
Right. They're probably his. I mean, usually that's
they
what I
were
see a
his.
lot. We
Yeah.
transfer our pain and our suffering onto those around us. And who do we spend most of the time with? Our loved ones, our pets. And I always tell, my clients that our animals, they take the hit for us. They're here to heal us. And they're these little amazing, like furry angels that come down to be part of our lives and help us through this stuff. So yeah, I own a pet care business myself. And so I see it all the time because I'm also a Reiki practitioner. I can feel it. And I'm like, okay, I know exactly why this is happening with this pet. I know exactly what's going on here, and I can feel it. And it's coming like just a straight flow of energy from the parent into the pet. And then I feel what's happening. And so my tagline's always been helping people help their pets, because honestly, and you are probably, it sounds like that's what you're experiencing. You have to help the person to help to get through to the pet. So what a beautiful way to have that happen.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, like what you're saying, it's, you start out treating one thing, or so you think, you're open to it, right? And so you just hear them out, and then you can hear what's actually going on, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I pick up people's energies from long distances. I don't have to be sitting right next to you to feel, is it sadness? Is it shame? Deep-seated fear, rage, right? I mean, and I know all these places.
Yeah.
We all have them, but I've been willing to get to work on them. And I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm more than 2 steps ahead of most people I know, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like you're there now. You've stepped into the space you're supposed to be in. Sounds like you're right where you're supposed to be, and you're helping people tap into those emotions that they can't otherwise see. And you were once in a place where you couldn't see it yourself either, and myself included in that. We've all got a story, right? And so to be gifted enough to be able to know what your gifts are and what you're supposed to be doing for others, I think is just absolutely amazing. And I love what you're doing. It's so exciting that, you know, a service like yours exists and people can reach out and get help for themselves, and then through that help for their, you know, their loved ones, their pets, and just make such a tremendous change for the better in their lives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's simple, right? It's the concept and the idea of it is really simple. The execution and application of what needs to be done is not easy.
no,
Right. So don't get the two confused. A lot of people do, oh, it's simple, it must be easy. No,
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 but
concepts are simple.
anything worth having is worth fighting for. And you have to, for
Absolutely.
however many years in your life that you have, you know, ignored something,
Yep.
it's probably about as long as you're going to have to dedicate to reversing that and making it better. Maybe less if you're really dedicated to it and you want to really be in the flow and swim through it quickly and you know, stop. You know, my father is from Italy, you know, off the boat, as they say, and he used to say, shit or get off the pot. It's such a
Right.
great thing because it's the truth. It's like, we don't have any more time left. What are we doing? Are we going to just sit and waste it and just be like, oh, you know, put your fingers in your ear, la la la, I can't hear it, it's not happening. If I pretend, it's just going to go away, all these problems. And then we self-soothe with things that we're not supposed to be, you know, self-soothing with. You know, you got everything from drugs, alcohol, food, hoarding, you name it, there's a thing for it today. I mean, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff being created for us to distract ourselves with, including, you know, bad relationships or whatever it is. But we don't have to, we'll all have choices. We don't have to choose that way. We can choose other things. And
Yeah.
you know, your type of healing, energy healing, working with your animal, you're, you know, you're killing two birds with one stone, or helping two birds with one stone, as it were. You're helping your pet, you're improving your relationship and learning how to love yourself again, find a way
Yeah.
back to that.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Everything is a relationship, whether it's with a person or yourself or your animal. They're all relationships. And if you can improve one small thing with yourself, the ripple effect will go to every area of your life. Right. But it's a choice. Whether you choose to work on something or not, you're still choosing.
Right.
People may not like their options, but you're still making a choice.
Right.
And maybe you have to do the hard thing first.
Yeah, it definitely is. It is. I can attest to that. It is, you know, but taking that first step to really truly make that choice to do what's often the harder choices to do for yourself, to make changes and not keep staying in that comfortable zone of doing it the same way every single time, because that's what we know, that's what we're comfortable with. Oftentimes it's, you know, our own families that are, you know, we stay in situations and perpetuate those patterns and keep doing it over and over again, you know, the repeating the sins of the father, the sins of the mother, the whatever it is. And it's just part of, you know, that's part of our life's lesson, I believe. You know, we have to
Yeah.
see it for what it truly is and break it. And, you know, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, destroy it all and rebuild it, create anew so that we can, you know, make it greater and do it differently for the generations to come. And, you know, I always say that if every single person on this planet just decided they were going to heal their inner child, boy, what a world we'd be living in, right?
Yeah.
What a concept. Just to sit and ponder that thought for a moment is something. And most often the people who do the most harm are usually the ones who have suffered the most in their life. But we've all suffered, right? We don't, you know, and going back to those choices again, we can choose to be better and do it better and live our greatest and highest version of ourselves, or we can keep doing it the same way over and over again and turning our pain outwards. And then we wonder why our world looks the way it does. It doesn't have to, though.
No,
You
no,
don't.
again, we create that, right? I mean, emotional pain is inevitable. It's just part of life being here. But the level of suffering that we actually co-create
It's
is that's optional. It's literally
absolutely,
optional.
suffering is a choice, without a
Yeah,
doubt. The
yeah,
first time I
sure.
heard that, and I was in, you know, a great amount of pain myself, I was like, oh, what is that? You know, this is real. I feel it. I feel it. And then finally I got it right. I don't have to suffer. I could just change my perspective. And it's just what is, you know, this is where I am. This is what's happening. It's just a thing. It's not, you know, this person did this to me. This has been done to me. It's just, this is just what is. And so now you switch, you change, you do something differently. You make it better. You make it different. You don't have to suffer all the way through it. You know, physical pain is real. And, you know, but even that we can minimize the suffering through physical things that are happening, just by choosing it. So I know it sounds wacky for most people, but
It's true.
eventually when you work on, when you do this kind of work, you get there and you realize it. And I wish that and hope that for everybody. And, you know, because if we all do it, the world's going to be in much better shape. And then we'll start being kinder to one another, and especially to the most vulnerable amongst us, whether it's the animals, children, you know, minorities, whatever it is. It's, we're all supposed to be kinder to one another, and that's how we get to a better place and a better existence. And I believe that's how we manifest. That's how we'll start to be able to manifest the greatest things in our lives, by existing from that heart-centered focus rather. So can you tell us what a healing therapy session with you might entail? And do you tailor it to each individual's background and needs? Or maybe just give an example of what a day with you or a session with you might look like.
Yeah. Well, I do retreats also. So and we can get into some pretty dirty water when we can get away from everybody and everything else in your life. But a session is there's a quick discovery about what makes you tick, right? Not focusing on the things you were trying to get away from or trying to rid yourself of, but what is your energy, right? What was your energy when you were 2, 3, 4, 5 years old? What created awe for you in your world? And we tap into that energy because it's still there. We've just blocked ourselves off from it. So I just help people access that energy level again.
Is it through talking? Is it through Reiki? Is it through um, a number of different pathways, would you say?
Yeah, it depends on the individual. So some of it can literally just come from being conversational. I do a lot of little 10-minute exercises with people. Sometimes I'll record them and send them off to them and say, here's the meditation. When it's actually more like trance work, but more people are used to the word meditation. So we do that. And
Do you
yeah,
meditate with them?
mhm,
That's great. So,
yeah. So
yes.
I see myself in it. I've been trained in Reiki, healing touch, pranic healing, reconnective healing. I was voracious, right? I just I wanted to learn everything.
Yeah.
And at a point, I was doing a distance session for a Reiki master friend of mine, and I just fell into this thing, and I didn't even, you know, I don't even know exactly what happened, but I just opened up to this. We'll call it a portal,
Yeah.
of when she was 5 years old, riding a horse bareback with her arms flung wide, hair flowing out behind her, giggling. It was just this powerful, pure feminine energy. And she called me afterwards. She's like, "How the hell did you do that? What was that?" And you know, she's a Reiki master, so she was going through Choku. What did you do, Choku Rei twice, or did you do this? And it was really fascinating. I said, "No, I opened up to something else." So I call it Tenchi. It's Tenchi. It's a Japanese word that means heaven and earth,
Very nice.
not exclusive from each other, right? And
Right.
I believe we're all existing in this mix constantly, but we have so many barriers up, we just can't access it.
Right. Yeah. Everything, all the, like all the things that we do to distract ourselves from, whether it's too much caffeine, whether it's the news, social media,
Oh yeah.
alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, we're numbing ourselves to be in that flow, that universal, divine universal flow. And yeah, we are supposed to be connected above to heaven and below to earth. And you can use whatever words you want. It's not about religion. This isn't a religious thing.
Right.
It's just about getting back to your true soul self, your essence, the essence that we once were and still are, but we block ourselves. And so we have to peel away those layers. And the more you do that, even eating animal, meat, animal flesh, in that is, the energy of the animal. So we're commingling with that, and it's commingling in our system. And so now we're not just, us. It's not just Michael or Erica or anybody else. It's you and all these other energies. And, let's be honest, and this isn't about a vegan conversation, but it's just about the energy of it all. Animals aren't treated that kindly, right? And so they're, whether they lived a really great life and were able to live on a pasture somewhere until the day that they, gave up their life to, their greatest sacrifice, right? They give up their life for human consumption, or they live their life every single day from the moment of conception in complete and utter suffering. Whatever the case is, we are ingesting that energy. So any of these things, they're all things that are going to, mix with our energy, and we have to peel those layers away. There is a lot of work to do. And I don't say that to scare people, but it's the reality. And the moment it finally clicks, it clicks differently for everybody, and everybody's got that aha moment. And a lot of times it is, during our darkest hours, what they call the dark night of the soul. And some of us have many of them. I have had quite a number of them. And every single time when you come out on the other side, you're a higher level up, you're closer and more connected strongly, deeply in your core to that divine universal flow. And you don't want to go back. I refuse. I will never go back. I've worked a lot and worked really hard to pull myself up out of all the places that I've been and in my life spiritually, and grew up in a dysfunctional household and all sorts of stuff. We don't need to get into that right now, but everybody's got a story, like we were saying before, and we all are great. We all are magical. We all have the powers and ability to self-heal. It exists within us. It's always within. It's never been without, but we're always looking elsewhere. We're always looking at the external, but we don't need to be, do we? So
no, but what does it take for someone to notice, though, right? Because we're all at different places. So I guess ask yourself a question: where am I at today? Where am I? And this is one I use with my clients when they're feeling anxious and distracted. Literally, where am I right now? Am I stuck in something else, or can I be present with what's going on right here?
Right. Being present isn't that easy, is it? It's one of the hardest things for most people, because the distractions are easier. It keeps us away from that present moment, which is where the so-called, it's all the stuff that we've been avoiding. The pain,
but it's also the gold, right?
Yeah, of course.
If you're willing to dig for it and work on it, you're going to pull something out and get rid of it and be like, yes.
Yeah, it's an amazing release and relief. And that moment you get to that, like the very first Reiki session I ever had 20 years ago, which is what set me on my path. It was, I bawled my eyes out. I didn't know what to expect. I just went into it with an open heart and just knew that I needed to be there. It was my time, my path. And it started for me. And all you need to do is have an open heart and ask to be led. And sometimes we just need to simply give it up. All right, I don't know. I used to think I knew, but I don't know. I don't know anything. It's okay. That's okay.
That's more than okay.
Yeah.
So see the chapter or the book back there where I'm wearing the same shirt?
The change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote a chapter. I'm a co-author in that book. And guess what the title of my chapter is?
I don't know.
close. I don't know shit.
Very nice.
Yeah. The more I learn, I mean, there's always tons of information, but how do you create wisdom from that and actually utilize it in your life? So the more I learn from other people, the more I realize I really don't know that much.
Right. Right. And that's okay. Like you said, that's a great place to
Yeah.
actually be.
Oh, it's a wonderful place to create from,
Right.
right? Because you're not trapped under these underpinnings of somebody else's idea of anything.
Or your own.
Yeah.
Or
Hmm.
your own. You know, like I have to be this, I have to be that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretending to be all of these things, or I'm striving to be all of these things, but innately, you know, it's not really who you want to be, and it's not really who you are. So when you strip all of that away and you start from nothing, or you're at the bottom, you're at rock bottom, that's a friggin' fabulous place to be. I can say that now,
It is. You can
because
say
you
it
only
now.
have up to go from there. Everything
Yeah.
is beautiful, it's new, it's clean, it's just it's divine. And
Yeah. And scary.
yeah, but you know what, it's like, I'm not a surfer, but I liken it to just get on the surfboard and just be in the flow. Just try and ride the waves instead of fighting and paddling against it. And then you feel like you're waterboarding yourself. Just be in the flow. And
Waterboarding.
you know,
Yeah, that's a great reference.
well,
Yeah.
you know, I guess my last thought is, which I know you and I both know the answer to this, and we've kind of touched on it, but you know, why do you think this kind of therapy is so needed today?
Uh, you already brought it up earlier, but all you got to do is turn on the news, and you know, the media is kind of controlled, so they only report certain things, but all they're showing us is things that scare us, or that we have to be a certain way to be liked or loved or get along. And it's just so unfortunate, because it's really not true,
Right.
right? And I think we feel it, but maybe we're too afraid to do anything about it because we don't know how. Maybe it's as simple as that. But yeah, fear and anger and rage and shame are not places to make great decisions from for your life. You
No,
know, we can all do it differently, but you have to step up and start. Maybe it's just asking for help. It's the smallest thing.
I totally agree. And
Yeah.
those are all lower vibrational energies. And you know, when you
Hmm.
strip all the feelings and all the emotions away, there's just two things: there's fear and there's love. And where we choose to exist from is what our life will look like. It'll be a
Yeah.
representation of that. And fear is very toxic. And we respond, everything we do is in response to either love or fear. And so, yeah, the news, the media, all of that, it is designed to, you know, manipulate. It just is. And everybody knows it, but you know, it's just another numbing tool that we do, because it's so much easier to stay stuck than,
Hmm.
oh my God, I have to, you know, get up and go out and do this and do that. But it's not in the end. You know, when you look back after you peel yourself away from the sofa and away from your junk food and away from your social media apps and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying all that stuff is bad. Everything in balance, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of, you know, you don't want to completely deprive yourself of any, you know, what would be deemed fun for you, for yourself,
Hmm.
but finding that balance. And sometimes you do have to just rip the band-aid off and get the hell away from it all, so that you can start to rebuild and find the greatest, highest version of yourself. It exists for all of us, we just have to get there. So
Yeah, that's a great point. It's always there. We just have to find it within ourselves.
yeah, take that first step. So I love that. I love everything that you're doing. I support you so much.
Mhm.
And I hope that
Thank you.
those who need you find you. Michael, thank you so much for coming on today to inform and inspire our listeners to hopefully create positive, transformative change in their lives. And I wish you and your clients the very best in their healing journeys, because honestly, every being healed is one more soul bringing kindness and love and light into this world, which is so very much needed today. So I applaud you and your work with men, and working with them and their dogs is so cool. It's such an amazing approach. And for anyone interested in Michael's healing or coaching services for themselves or a loved one, please visit his website at www.dogsandmen.com for a sampling of his work and what he's been doing and working on. You can also email him directly at michael@dogsandmen.com if you have any questions. This has been Erica Salvemini for the Rising Lioness Podcast on All About Animals Radio. Please visit our website at allaboutanimalsradio.com to find out more great podcasts advocating for animals today. As a volunteer-run talk radio station that's dedicated to animals and their advocates, we truly appreciate and also require your support in order to stay active. Thank you all so much for being here today, and we wish you much love and light on your healing journeys. Namaste.
Erica, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was wonderful to spend this time with you, Michael. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This has been Erica Salvemini for the Rising Lioness Podcast on All About Animals Radio. A special thank you to Chris Corley for generously lending us his song, Zero Gravity, for the Rising Lioness Podcast theme. Please take a moment to write a review for our show as it helps others to find us. Please also support our guests and their work, All About Animals Radio, and our social networks. Doing this further supports the animals and their advocates too, thereby making you an Animal Kingdom warrior also. You can find our links on the Rising Lioness Podcast page. Until next time, in the words of Sharon Nunez, Animal Equality President, remember this: the small actions of one passionate individual can create a butterfly effect, leading to a movement that has the power to change the world. Please use your voice for the animals today.